What's going on, nMo fans, Fighting Game League fans? This is your host and co-host, Nelson Rios. We're coming at you with a semi-review for Marvel vs. Capcom Origins. And many of you guys in the fighting game community may think the game is a bit dated and what have you, but some of us who still hold on to the nostalgia really appreciate the release of this title. Now, the only thing is missing quite a few games, as Nelson and I are going to dissect. But I understand that there were licensing issues for Children of the Atom, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and they kind of gummed up the release. Also, what's notably missing is Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, which was a solid game, in my opinion. However, Christian Severson is talking out his neck again, saying the game was weak. I don't agree with that, not even in the slightest, because it's not a true Origins, because you don't have everything that made the Versus series what it is in this package. But furthermore, I'm happy for the release, but you're only really getting 2 games, and Maximilian made a lot of points that it plays very different to the new friendly games that have come up. But those are my initial impressions of the game. Nelson, what are your thoughts on the release of MVCO?
Basically more or less the same thing. I just wish that they could re-released like all the Versus series titles, such as like Children of the Atom, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, along with these 2 titles, because then it would have been a complete package instead of just getting 2 games of the series. And you're thinking like, okay, this doesn't make any sense now. Why would you just put Marvel Superheroes, which is not really a Versus series game, and then put Marvel vs. Capcom 1, which is a Versus series game? That doesn't make any sense to me. But...
And the first Marvel vs. Capcom was Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Technically, X-Men it's still, a Versus game, but like to take a lot more brands into it, because Marvel Superheroes, and it had Spider-Man in there. You had that hidden character, the journalist from Maru on the Sega Saturn and Japanese arcade cabinets. They just, remember how we were discussing with the Devil May Cry HD collection and the Metal Gear Solid HD collection on our review in the past, where they go for these Origin packages, but they intentionally omit key titles in their franchises. I would have felt a lot more content, and I would have paid more money had they had all those key games. But I'm pretty sure you agree with this, though.
Oh yeah, I definitely would have spent a lot of money on that. Not too much for Capcom, but a legitimate amount of money.
Now, getting into the specific games themselves, Marvel Superheroes was a wonderful game. It was the first time that you saw like Capcom really going out of their way to show their fighting game development muscle by putting characters like Spider-Man. You had Dr. Doom, Thanos, and the way that they pretty much introduced them into a 2D fighting world was pretty much ingenious. Like Spider-Man looked like he was meant for a fighting game once you saw that initially. And that was the first game in the Versus style that started introducing the air combos. But even though it was a little bit different, it's still, every character has a specific launcher. But you had to know what you were doing. Like Spider-Man, you can't match with him because he's standing strong punch that is a lifter, like Captain Commando in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Or we had the light kick, crouching light kick, crouching medium, standing roundhouse of Spider-Man, and that's another one. That was pretty cool how that was a key, a pivotal game in the Versus series, which pretty much influenced the rest of the game. But in terms of that, the game was pretty cool, but it didn't have push block, but it was, it was dated, and considering how the gems and all that, and the cool thing, revisiting this game with the gems, those of you who knew what you were doing can get, the SP gems per character, because even with the small roster that they have, you can get a like for instance Juggernaut, and which gem was that?
The Space
help me
Gem.
out.
Space Gem, which is
Yeah,
just like,
and he was like, he doesn't take any damage.
Right.
He's basic crap, you know? But can you expand more on the gems dancing?
it's basically, well, this is basically before Street Fighter Cross 2nd came out. This is when gems was actually a great idea, and the way how it was used. So you basically had a power gem, which basically gives you extra strength, speed gem, or time, which gives you